Hola a todas y a todos. Estamos aquí reunidos en el último día del Festival Black Canvas para la charla titulada Filmar al otro, filmarse a sí mismo. Eh, Hoy estamos aquí, vamos a estar con Vadim Kostrov, Isidore Bethel y Costa. Mi nombre es Lucrecia, yo soy investigadora y escribo también sobre cine. Y bueno, también es probable que llegue Sabrina Zhao, pero quizá llegue un poco tarde. Eh, pero bueno, en general estas tres películas, o estas películas en general que están en esta sección, en nuestra mesa de hoy, eh, pues se centran mucho en una mirada tanto personal, muy interna, y también externa hacia la otredad, pero de una manera muy incluyente. Y pues bueno, primero que nada los voy a presentar a ellos para que no perdamos tanto tiempo y que podamos escucharlos más bien. La película de Vadim Kostrov es Summer, verano. Vadim es un cineasta y escritor ruso, conocido también por sus películas Narodnaya, que es un documental, y Orfeos, que también está en el Festival del 2021 ahorita. Y bueno, y la última película, Summer. Eh, También Isidore Bethel es un cineasta y educador, graduado de Harvard y de l'École Normale Supérieure en París, y es conocido por su película Liam del 2018 y la película que nos trae hoy aquí, Acts of Love, Actos de Amor. También es editor y productor. Costa es un cineasta portugués que estudió en la Escuela Nacional de Cine de Lisboa y en la Universidad de Cine de Buenos Aires. También estudió un posgrado en Le Frenois, en Francia, y ha dirigido diferentes cortometrajes que se han visto en Cannes, Locarno y Roma, y su debut fue con Alba en 2019. Y bueno, la película que nos trae de aquí es Team Cat. Bueno, entonces empezaremos. La plática será en inglés y pues empezaremos con las preguntas. So I'm gonna switch to English, and
Yeah.
well, we have your three films: Summer from Vadim, Acts of Love from Isidore, and Team Cat from Ico. And well, like first of all, I would like to know what led you to these subjects, because most of these films are built upon the idea of a character study. And I was wondering if you could share a bit about like what was the initial drive that catalyzed your works. So if you could like explain to us what were like the reasons or the catalyzers, and I don't know who wants to start. Maybe.
I can start.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Ethiopia. I think in 2018. I guess I don't remember. To go for a research about the film that I was supposed to do, and maybe eventually I will do. About the arrival of the Portuguese to the country in the 16th century, and well, I just went there to see some places to study a little bit about several aspects of it, and yeah, I just took a Super 8 camera, and just to, I don't know, because I thought maybe there would be something interesting to see, and I knew I was going to be in Gondar by the time of the celebration of the Timkat, which is the celebration that the Christian people there do, where they get baptized every year, and so they go to these swimming pools or to rivers. In that case, in cities, swimming pools where there are no rivers, like that. And I was there. I was just started to shoot, and I was very impressed with everything that I saw, and I had 10 rolls, and I just started to shoot without any idea of that I was making a film or anything. I just felt amazed by what was happening and by the faces of the people. Like they were all very concentrated. There was this ritual was for me. It was amazing. I was there, like obviously as a tourist, of course. So a tourist gets amazed easily. But yeah, that was it. I didn't go there to make a film or anything. It just happened, and then I thought maybe there's some kind of film here because I wanted to show it to people, you know.
Okay, thank you.
That was
And,
it.
yeah, and well, just like to ask you this, like, how was for you to? I mean, after seeing your movie, like, to witness this ritual, because it's like to celebrate the baptism of Jesus, right, in the river.
Yes,
So, like,
yes.
for you, like, being Portuguese and going there to Ethiopia, and like, I know that you were a tourist and that you didn't plan like this to be a film, like, from the beginning, but
Yeah.
like, how was for you in terms of culture, like, to see all of this and like to film it?
I don't know. I think I just said it. No, how do I don't really understand the question, but how do I feel? Well, how did I feel? That was it. I felt what impressed me the most was the faces of people. You know, I just more than what's behind what's in the history of this ritual. I was very impressed by the unity of the people and the concentration of their faces, and they really felt like something big was going on there. And I kind of think that in Europe we are losing those kinds of celebrations, those kinds of stuff. Maybe in football stadiums it's kind of similar, but that's it. I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that it's important what you're talking about, because like this idea of the faces and the unity, like, goes beyond just like witnessing this and like concentrating yourself in the idea of the face, and like, as our title says, like the other. And well, I don't know. Thank you very much, Iko. And I don't know if you, Vadim or Isidore, would like to answer the question. Like, the
Let's do it. You're young, you know. Right. All right. I'm younger. I'll start. Yeah, it means the start of the summer was the moment of complete and for last year. So it was the start of the situation. It was the end of March, kind of. It's about 26 of March, and I was sitting in the studio, understood that all my plans just lost. I don't know what will be in my life next. My own plans just disappeared, and it's kind of future disappeared. And in this moment, we were sitting like paralyzed with this. Everybody was scared, started to wear the masks and washing their hands so often, and then so on and on. And nobody knew what is it for. And then I was sitting as a laptop or some computer, and I opened Google Maps, and suddenly I came via Google Maps to a place where I haven't been about 30, 30, 30 years, 13 years. I'm 23 or 13 years. This place is a garden of my childhood. It's a very garden from the film. And in this moment, I just felt so. I truly felt full of fullness of calmness, and just realized and decided if I will believe, if I will be alive, if I will be in health, and I just since this moment I'm living to get to this place. I'm just living by this dream. Yeah, it's by and then I realized think about the bad figure is kind of a job store from the job book. Yeah, and then step by step I'm starting to think about to make a film about my start, my beginning, my about this returning the days of childhood, about returning to God in sense, to the start, to Eden. It's kind of human comes to Eden again. That's how it was for me, and that's actually what I did. When it's summer, months and months, I was sitting and working at the computer for looking for locations. We had Google Maps, we were some kind of different maps. I'm just check the location, uh, wrote some scenes. It was my real memories from my childhood, some kind of it, and made some structure, and then I found the boy. We just I've looking at photos at local Palace of Pioneers. It's a place for kids for some activities, singing and dancing. Kind of it was a concert for the war. It's about a celebration of the Second World War. Every year, kids doing something. It was hundred photos, and there was Bob, one of them. And I found him and wrote my teacher from this place, and he found him in the day. I was really happy. I met him firstly. We are talking now. Yeah, we are just WhatsApp or something. Yeah, and then it was a month working like on this. Then only at the summer, at the end of June, and then the end of June, maybe 20, I came there and start filming. And I found camera before I was tasting it about 2 months by sitting in Gilet in the studio. I can't go in for the walls for the. Uh, I couldn't come out from studio. They say if you come out, you will not come in. It's kind of it because it's how it was. I was in a jail and then I came to the freedom with this camera and felt it completely. No, I were really hungry about exactly about images, about everything, and I started to look deeply in everything and enjoy. It's like you enjoy everything in childhood, some kind of it. And my camera also started because this situation helped me to feel it again, to understood the value of this of looking, of sensitive stuff, of here, of the film world, everything and everything. And that's how it was. So sorry for that one, but it's kind of it.
No, thank you very much. You were freezing a little bit in the beginning. I don't know for the others if he was freezing too. But but we got
Everything
you.
is freezing now for a long time. You too. I
Oh,
cannot hear
really?
well. Yeah. No, mostly
Okay.
the sound. That's well.
The sound?
Not for me. I think it might have to do with your connections, Vadim and Ika.
Yeah, maybe because I have Isidore also very well. But well, just like to talk about this that you're saying, Vadim. Like I think that it's very important, like the idea of going back to the days of childhood, and not just like it's like to feel again the childhood, because you go back, and even for us it's like you go there and you go back to the senses, and you go back to the idea of being a kid, and the idea of playing with your friends and playing with your siblings, being there, and the idea of the summer that, like, for everyone, like right now you're in Portugal, in Madrid, in Russia, and we're in Mexico, and we all get this idea of going back to the childhood. And like, I think it's very beautiful to have this. I don't know if I could talk like about identification, but the idea of sort of like a communion, um, like if all of us were having like this same childhood, or the idea of like this purity in there. And I think that your film takes us there, like to being a kid, but like this, like the beauty of being there, like the innocence of seeing the world as we see the world when we're kids. And I think that the idea here of the other is not just like the other, like, well, we have the other, like us, like the audience and all the children. Now we have a dog here. And well, just like also the idea of this communion there in childhood. And I think that, well, I just like to like point this out, because I think there's like this beauty of your film there, like going back, but going back not just to the state of being a child, but going back also to the memory, like in a sense, like from the senses, like the smelling, hearing, seeing, and that changes a lot when we're adults. And I think that your film takes us back to those sensations. And I think that that's very beautiful, and it's also very because you talk about also your childhood, and I think that the kid is named Vadim, right? And
actually, I gave him this name. His real name Vova Vladimir. He's the real Vova Karetin, but it's just for hearing similar. I'm Vadim Kostrov. He's Vova Karetin. It's kind of similar looks in there. Starts the same book, says with the same letters. It's just like just strange. Vova. It's kind of really near. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfectly came to my world of my childhood. Perfectly came. I just put it in my places. So it's my real places. Garden, grandma. It's my grandma. The flat in the start scene. Everything. All my ways. My ways. My places. Real. Everything is real. How it was. Kind of. But in a sense, with Gosha, the adult one, Pasha, adult guy, it's exactly not from the memories, but moments with Vadim, it's about 90% kind of from the memories, kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that here we have like the idea of, I mean, you going back to this other that was sort of like you and your childhood, but like seeing it in a different way, like a lot of years after this, and like this sort of otherness, like when we separate ourselves from when we were children. And I think that's very beautiful because there's like the going back and like in a different way. And what I just told you like about the senses and the sensation. And I think that's very, very beautiful. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Vadim.
Yes, thanks.
And now we go to Isidore. So what was well, your film sort of tell us, but I mean, I'd like you to tell us, like to hear from you, how did the project start? How was the process? What catalyzed your work?
Certainly. When I started working on this film, I was living in Mexico City, and I was dating someone in a situation where I felt like I was no longer interesting him, or I no longer had the ability to like hold his attention sexually or emotionally or romantically. So I go and I spend a summer in Chicago, and I start meeting men on dating applications, and I'm in a situation where I'm feeling unloved, and I'm looking for basically, how does love happen? How does lust happen? How does sex happen? And how can it be fulfilling or not? And how can I sort of start to have an idea of where I am as a romantic, emotional, psychological being coming out of a relationship that had made me question those things. But very quickly, I've had 12 men come into my studio. We've had conversations, we've had sexual encounters, and I'm very suddenly in sorts of relationships with 4 of them. And I feel totally overwhelmed, and I call my mother. And I have this idea that my mom will also perform in this film with me. And she's totally disgusted, has no interest in knowing anything about my sexuality, about like how I have sex with other men, but she can tell that I'm in pain, and that I have a need to kind of find clarity and support. So she agrees to continue. She does not agree to be in the film. She will not perform in any of these kind of scenarios that these men and I are constructing as we court each other. But she does continue to have phone conversations with me, mostly to kind of critique and ridicule what I'm doing, but also giving me a mirror that allows me to see myself as someone who is capable of love and capable of being loved.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, because I also wanted to ask you, like, because your mother here is like a very, I don't know, like sort of like this voice, like in a, I don't know, like psychoanalysis. And, like we hear the voice and she's there and she's like with you in your grief and the pain. And she's sort of like this person that gives you also love, that is loving you in a way when you're looking for love and when you're trying to figure out what love is after all this horrible thing of feeling just like not loved. And I think it's very beautiful also, like the idea of the title, Acts of Love, because it's not just like defining what love is, but the action of love and what in these actions show us like love. And I think that that's what you're searching for. And also, like talking about the other, I'd like to ask you, how was like this interaction with these men, and like did they agree to appear in the movie, and how was like because they're filmed and you're there and we see your face and we see their faces too. So how was like the interaction between you, and well, sort of like that, if you could just like tell us a little bit, because I think it's also like Vadim says, like the idea of like, well, Vadim and Iko say, like the idea of the faces, and in the three of your films we see like faces, but in a very different way, and each of your films gives us like like the idea of the face and the idea of the other and the idea of how these faces tell us something. And well, now talking to you, Isidore, like how was the interaction between you and this man and the idea of them accepting being here in the movie?
So I had an announcement on my dating profile on many different applications, and I said, why don't you come to my studio? There will be cameras, we will be filmed. Let's have an interaction over 30 minutes. Anything can happen. And I chatted with about 900 different men, and 12 agreed to come in. So they came into it knowing that things were being recorded. And what kind of happened is we had different encounters. Well, I met 12 men. Each was moving and impactful and exciting and interesting in different ways. But I think ultimately, and I filmed more with several of the others, but the 4 who ended up in the film were the ones that kind of provoked the biggest feelings for me, or the biggest sensations, because I was going through a time with my boyfriend where I was encountering a lot of opacity, like a lack of clarity. And one of the first men who came into my studio immediately said, hey, do you want to get naked? Do you mind if I masturbate? And there was something really beautiful to me about the honesty there. Like, he had a feeling, he could verbalize it. And it was also electrifying because it's not something that usually happens in my life. I meet someone for the first time and suddenly we're naked and the other person is masturbating. So you asked like what kind of drew me to certain of the people who came into the film. It was lust in some cases. It was artistic friendship. One of the guys in the film is a fabulous artist, and I knew that he would dismantle my work as I was making it in a really challenging, exciting way. Joy. There's a guy who takes me to a club in Chicago, and we spend an evening together, and it's just like joyful. And then just lust or like sexual desire. I wanted to sleep with some of them. And I wanted to gravitate, or I don't think I wanted, because I think at the time I was lost. But I found myself gravitating towards emotions that had clarity that I didn't have. Like, I didn't have clarity in my mind or in my relationship with this man in Mexico. So I found myself gravitating towards where there was emotional clarity, even if that clarity was discomfort or fear, or arousal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because I mean this part when he's just there and he's like, oh, can I masturbate? Can we get naked? And it's like, I think like taking this part and all of their film and sort of like linking it with Vadim's and Iko's films. We have like the idea or like this moment when we take something out of us. Yeah, like we're there, like your characters are there, like being super exposed, but in a good way, because you know you have all these naked men, you have yourself there, like being super exposed, and then we have Vadim talking about his childhood and the idea of how all children are like very innocent and also very exposed in the world, and also the idea of Iko's film, like when we have all this ritual that talks about purity, and we see all this white, because I love the color, the white color there, Iko. And I think that the three of your films are there in different ways. They sort of talk about, I mean, we have lost childhood, like this ritual, but there's sort of like this innocence and also purity, and the idea of the face, and the face that's exposed. And I don't know, I love this, and I felt like very interested when I saw your films, because I mean they're very different, but they have something in common. And because I don't know, even the format, for example, Ico was just telling us that you had like a Super 8, right, Ico? Like it was in film.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we have like Isidore's film, who is like, well, that's like very technologic, you know, like you have like the iPhone and you have like all these part in the end where you have all these photos and like the record of your life there in Mexico, in Chicago, in Paris. And also like Vadim's film is very like has another sort of rhythm, and we see there the difference of the format. And even though we have all these difference of the format, we have something in common, and it's like the innocence and the purity, and like being exposed, but not in a bad way, but in a very beautiful and innocent way. And I love this of the of your films. And well, I don't know if you'd like to say something about that, or like if you want to, because if not, we can change to we can go to the next question.
I can say a brief thing there with
Yeah.
the question of sort of innocence or naivete, where I think that a big part of my process was having chaos on set and feeling very overwhelmed, and then having my co-director, who's not here, take control and write the story. His name is Francis Leplay, and he's a novelist and an actor in sort of the rest of his life. And I think it was also important that since I'm performing in the film, that I'm not a puppet master, or if I am, it's something that also gets exposed, that manipulation is something that is open for judgment or critique on the part of the audience. So I think thinking about innocence and purity and naivete, it's also a question of trust for me, like entregándome al otro, like delivering myself over to Francis, who then, he's someone I love, he's someone I trust, and seeing what he does with the raw material of my life.
Yeah, and also like delivering yourself to this man, to your mom, to yourself, but like in a very different way, like rediscovering yourself and like the exact moment of trusting. And I think, I mean, trust also goes for the other films, like for Vadim's, like the idea of trust, of how we manage to trust when we're children, but like how we lose and I can see that we can see that Isidore in your film, like the idea of being so innocent as a kid in Vadim's film, and then the idea of trying to get back this trust that we lost and that we sort of lose during the act of love. I mean, after the pain and grief and breaking up and getting to know new people. And now I'd like you to, I don't know, if you can tell me, how did you approach like the other? For example, I don't know, Ecos talked a little bit about this, but like the Ethiopian people, but how did you approach the other or the others in the case of Eco or in the case of Isidore? And how can you tell us about the other shaping your decisions and the form that your films took? I don't know who would like to answer. Maybe Ico?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you can see in the film exactly my approach. I mean, I think it's a film where you see like the camera is like my eye, you know. I just look at something and I just focus and I just make like then I make zooms. My eyes don't zoom, but in a way, yes, you can. You watch in a sea of people and you concentrate in one or another face. So yeah, my approach is always from distance because I didn't, well, it is a straight documentary. I didn't speak to anyone, well, except for those interviews. It's a small part of the film. but I just kept away, and I filmed the way I was watching the ceremony, the people on the streets. Yeah, like almost like an home video, you know.
Mhm.
But I really wanted to shoot the thing of shooting in Super 8 is because in my travel I didn't want to shoot 2 hours or 3 or 4 or 7 days. I just had 20 minutes to shoot everything. So yeah, so of the film of 11 minutes, I shot 20 minutes, I guess. And that was a way of in a way concentrating my energy, so everything that I caught was interesting for me. So I only turned the camera on when I saw something that was that I really wanted to capture.
Mhm.
The second part of the question, I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah,
Are you
like
all? That
how,
was
like the
it.
other, like what can you tell us about the other shaping your decisions and the form that the film took?
Well,
I mean, like because you were there, like documenting
yeah.
all of this, but I don't know, like did
So
you talk to people? Were they like
no, no,
surprised because you were there with the
no.
camera
I was just a person in the middle of
of
thousands of
the?
people,
Mhm.
So everybody was very concentrated on what they were doing. It was only rarely someone looked at the camera and saw me. And I don't know. Don't yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's also very interesting because I mean, you're there, but we sort of like lose the idea of the filmmaker being like a filmmaker, no? Because you're there, like and we can see like in the image all like this river of people, and you can see like the movement of the bodies and the movement of the colors, and sort of like this. Yeah, I can see it's sort of like a river, like moving all these people and the movement and all the bodies going together and then moving in sort of like in individual ways. And you're there like being part of the river, but also documenting this river of movement, but also like the river of the like the baptism, like the ritual.
Yeah,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
mhm. And I think that that's also very interesting because you were there, but I mean, what you just said, like people weren't like interested in saying like, why are you filming us or why are you here with your camera? You were just there in the middle of all these, I don't know, like all these people and the ritual, and I think that's very because you sort of like go go with them, like go with the flow of the movement and the people
Yeah,
and the river, and you sort of like became the river too, and your eye became the river too, and
yeah, completely. Yes, I was just with everybody else there.
mhm.
Yeah, that was the idea.
Yeah, thank you, Iko. And well, I don't know for Vadim and
Oh,
Isidore. Maybe Vadim, can you tell us like how did the other shape your decision and the form that the film took?
oh, okay.
Ah,
I'll say this. It's very interesting, but you're talking about the river because in many sense, my film is returning to the quiet water, to this for first in the shape. It should be. It should not be like this. It should be calmly, as a river calmly, as my eye also, and like a quiet water, quiet river. And in the second and more important sense, uh, the way of working on the film, it's looked like the way of swimming really, really slowly in a quite a tiny river. You know, it was like, and yeah, I mean the method of zooms and everything, and moves of the camera, and even the scenes. I, the idea of not damaging the scenes, the frames, and in the method, I've just made create the situation. I just put in the people, real people, not actors. It's not anyone, an actor, anyone. Just my friends, my grandmother, everybody as people. I put in them in the real places, garden, flat, everything and real situations. I just the film helped me to create the situations for them, and it was not working working inside of the film to create something. It was uh, already made, and then started shooting. In some cases, I didn't give for scenes of dialogue. I didn't give any words them, just situations like how it was with the scene of the on the when Christina uh, and Vadim talking at the stairs. Remember the scene? Yeah, it's not any word, and just sit here waiting for friends, and we really was waiting them. Guys, really have to be come to this garden. You know, it's a garden. It's not in the city. We're really waiting. I just say them. They sit here waiting for friends, and that's it. And that's exactly how it was. And then the mechanics of of human of organic of humanity, of some kind of essential, some kind of from eternity, some kind of which happening with everybody. Childhood, it's pure and you understood what I'm talking. And then it start works, and in this way I'm not reconstruct my real talks, with the text, with everything, but exactly when I was watching on the scene, when I start to look at it uh, deeply, I understood that some words actually my real sister, we have sister Christina, really told me something like this, or exactly these things, Yeah, I just was really amazed. I was really shocked, uh, and this because we didn't make some things unnatural in any unnatural way. We just go with the flow, with the flow of everything. The talks with Granny. Of course, I just gave them just one phrase and one answer. It's about, is it rainy there? Look at the forest. We'll see some kind of it, and that's it. That's it. And there just just started. It's really I'm just shooting the real meeting Granny and Vova. No, Vova. It's like wasn't me because the Nelly, it's not real my real grandma. It's the mother of the new husband of my mom. I got it. And in some way, me like a Vova who was in the film, just met them, Granny and Christina. It was how it's me, and I put it the Boba in the same situation as I got with this teenage guys. Was I just put him in this situation and going in the night and everything. I just gave him my and set the situation to get him and get for everybody's kind of same, kind of really near, the kind of same uh, memories. We creating the memories. When
Mhm.
we shooting, we already creating new memories for him, and when he will start it to think how it was, he will not remember actually. It's about shooting. It's about how it was. It's about the
Mhm.
real processes. It's
Mhm.
about real life, and everybody live in this film, not playing. And it's all this way of to be in the nature, to be in this river. Just don't destroy it. Don't just make it in a way if you want to make it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and I put it. Christina and Pasha. He was together for a long time, and but in some day he just lose the possibility to talk. And in the film, I'm putting them in a quiet place in a forest, and in the forest near the garden, and there with the situation of the film, with the new names Pasha and Christina, they
Mhm.
can really say what they want to say to each other. And that's how it was real kind of therapy. It's made from Orpheus, my previous film. It was also there at Black Canvas, at Beyond the Canvas, and but it was more kind of documentary. And
Mhm.
it's here it's the feature, but in the methods, it's because it's real life. The real the real situation of the film helped them to talk to, and their dialogues, real dialogues,
Mhm.
real stuff. What they were, I didn't know. I'm just honestly, I just couldn't imagine what they will talk about.
Mhm.
And I just gave them situation with the fireplace, some kind of, and then Gosha said, "Okay, okay, I'll do it. Start shooting."
Mhm.
We came, and so on, so on. So
Mhm.
don't destroy it. It's a kind of film that made uh, not against the God's will, if you can say like this.
Mhm.
It's kind of everything in harmony,
Mhm.
everything, all the lights and everything, rainbows in the frame, everything like in the childhood was.
Yeah.
When you're child, you're safe, you're safe,
Yeah. Mhm.
you're just blessed, you're near of this, you're under protection
Yeah.
of relatives, maybe of God, of everything, all the nature, just like saving you kind of it.
Mhm. Yeah,
That
that's very beautiful. Like the idea of being safe when you're a
yeah,
child.
yeah.
And
It's
also,
how I felt. Yeah,
mhm. And also like what you're saying, this idea of like finding yourself in between, because you gave something to them, but they gave you something to you, and you sort of like created together the movie.
hmm,
And I mean, it was you, your ideas, but it was also them, and the idea of nature, and the idea, like, yeah, like nature itself and the world itself, like
yeah,
making the film and like creating this, like the memory of childhood and your memory and their memories. And that's beautiful and interesting. And the idea of like going back to this blessing, not in a
yeah,
religious way,
exactly.
but the idea of
And even
like the
camera,
blessing of the memory and the nature and the
yeah,
childhood. Yeah.
yeah, and even camera, the DV, it's incredibly interesting showing the light. I never seen this before in any film. It's like shining. It's shining in a way. If you watch it, and at the river, at the lake, Vova is
Mm-hmm.
shining, and the way he going, it's somewhere just like this, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And just few things to add. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
everything just came together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah,
was
and it's also very interesting
great
because you
descent.
said this after talking about Ecos, like the river
Yeah,
in Ecos film, and like the difference of the river, like in your film and in Ecos, and yeah, like also the idea of the difference of the like the difference between water in both of your films. Like you have the water here in your film, like for the idea of innocence and blessing, but we have in Eco's film another kind of blessing in water, and well, yeah, I just wanted to say that. And yeah, just like to finish, I'd like you, Isidore, to, well, you just sort of like explained it a little bit, like go deeper. Yeah, how did they, like all these others, shaped your decisions and the form of the film?
I think it's something that you mentioned at the beginning, Lucrecia, where I'm also an editor and a producer, and I think a big part of my MO is to listen to other people. So the original fictional scripts that we wrote together came from transcripts of the spontaneous conversations that these men and I had during the studio interviews, and sometimes I would show up with the script and these guys would reject them and say, I don't want to do that, or that doesn't represent me, even though they're my words. And I would listen to that, and we would do whatever they wanted to do along with my desires. And sometimes like those things came into conflict. There's one of the men who pulls out of the film in a really kind of, for me, kind of shocking way, where he said, you're not having sex with me anymore. I was only in this to have sex with you, so I'm gone. And that was something that, instead of cutting him out of the film, I think for me, as someone who was listening as sort of my primary mode of operating, was, okay, how do I listen to the meaning that is in this act? And how do I turn it into something that can also be meaningful in a film? And I wasn't the person to turn it into anything meaningful. It was my co-director who saw this as something that was significant. So yeah, I think throughout, it's, what do these men want to do? What do they not want to do? How can film help us realize our fantasies or our hopes, or help us confront our fears? Script writing is creating realities. And then what are the realities that we want to live in?
Yeah, and you sort of like created these realities with them. Like this scene when you have, well, I don't remember his name, but like when you're in the kitchen with this guy, and he like talks to you and he's like, I have to tell them before I can say it to you out loud, because if not, like in front of these heterosexuals, like yeah, like having them being part of the film, and they're also shaping you, and they're also shaping the film, and they're also like guiding and constructing it. And I think that we can see that like very clearly. And yeah, because sort of like most of these films are shaped around the idea of portraying not only people and portraying not only you, but a specific way of being in the world, right? Like we have in Eco's film the idea of being in the world, like this Ethiopian ritual and him being there, or like the idea of being a child and how we change when we're older. And in Isidore's film also the way of being in the world among all these men, and in pain and in grief. And I think that's something that we can say like about the three of her films. And yeah, well, I don't know if you would like to say something like we have to sort of like start closing, but if you want to say anything as a conclusion, or I don't know if you want to say anything.
Can I say just a little?
Yeah, tell us.
I just forget to say that it's everything. It was created in this way, just to manifest not just my childhood in anything, or them, or any stuff, but manifested the summer itself, some kind of common things. But it really needs to be concrete, really be certain in the essence, in the presence. It should be clear and truly to become common, to become near to others.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Well, I don't know if Isidore or Iko have something to say, like to close, like about your film.
I just say I love what Vadim just said. Where like filmmaking is a way of deciding how we want to be in the world and how we want to be with other people and how we want to get close to other people. And I love that vision of filmmaking. It's a tool for living.
Yeah, I think that too. Well, I don't know if Iko, if you have something to say, but like you have something to add.
Don't know.
Okay. Well, then thank you very much for being here. And well, now I'm gonna switch to Spanish. Les agradecemos a todos por haber estado aquí, por acompañarnos esta mañana, tarde, en diferentes países y en diferentes horarios. Y los invitamos a ver las últimas películas del festival y a ver también estas grandes películas sobre la pureza, la infancia, los rostros y pues mucha inocencia también. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Well, that should be all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.